I was 23 when I started Edopia. I did not have a roadmap. All I knew at that time was that we do not need more schools. We need better schools. I mean, look at all the schools around you. Schools are obsessed with this idea of obedience and discipline, subjects and textbooks, and we claim that we are here to serve the children. But how do you serve the child if it is almost impossible for us to find the voice of a child in a school's timetable? We claim that we're preparing children for the future, but life is not about math problems or science problems. Life gives us transdisciplinary problems. So if you're not willing to talk about conflict, relationships, how to live with yourself, how to live with other people around you, if you're not willing to talk about failure, then we're really not preparing children for any kind of life. We are just claiming to prepare them for some kind of a far-off future.
At Edopia, we tried something different. We split the day into a 2x2x2 model. 2 hours of core academics, 2 hours of community engagement, and 2 hours for their passions. AI personalizes learning, so children aren't just sitting through one-size-fits-all lessons. And then there's our approach to learning, a list of skills built across 8 years, teaching them how to learn, not just what to memorize. And those last 2 hours? That's for perfecting their passions, because you don't become an artist or an entrepreneur or an athlete by dabbling once a week. You need to live your passion every day.
Before I even think of complaining about a child, I have to know at least 5 things about them that has nothing to do with their grades. It's not a rule here, it's how we see children.
What do you think about traditional schools?
Traditional schools, they try to fit children into boxes, into grades, into numbers, into good and bad behavior, and it actually strips the child out off of their personality. In Edopia, we see children as whole, vibrant people. They're given autonomy to be themselves.
When I was in school, they used to take us to the arts class once in a week, and all of us students, we used to go together to that class, and they used to say that this is your exposure to art, so if you want to become artists, it's important for you to take this class. Now imagine something different. A child who really, really gets excited about arts is enabled to take on a personal inquiry about arts, and every day for 2 hours they work on that inquiry. And then every day of the week they continue to do that. They do it week after week, month after month, for the entire duration of a semester and even longer. This is how you ignite love for things in children. This is how hobbies are developed, and hobbies become passion, and passion leads to purpose and a life that's really, really fulfilling. But unfortunately, schools rush children through everything. They do not have the capacity to hold the moment for the child such that the child takes a deep dive into a personal interest and experiences immersion and flow. And that is something that we try to address through the concentration aspect of our model, where every child is allowed to take a deep dive in a personal interest across a range of domains to get to know that specific domain very, very well and to get to enjoy the learning experience within that domain.
So what about little children?
Oh, well, for little children, they play. They just play. And I know there are so many people around me who say, what do you mean they just play? Aren't they really wasting their time by playing? What do you really do? Tell us what you really do. We don't want to know that the children are just playing at your school, but that's the honest truth, that the children just play. And the role of the educators for children around ages 3 to 5 or 6 is just to be really good facilitators to enable them to play. For us, the intellectual skills are extremely important. And when I refer to intellectual skills, I'm talking about skills like the skill of observation, of expression, of collaboration, of prediction, all of which are very central to the idea of playing. Those skills come really naturally to you when you're playing. And for us, intellectual skills are the prerequisite for academic skills. For us, they come a little later on, because if you do not build the capacity of the child to engage with intellectual skills through play, then you get children who struggle to think for themselves. You get children who struggle to express themselves. You get children who struggle to work with each other. So for instance, you take a 3-year-old. That 3-year-old is going to take almost a month to memorize a sound and use it correctly. But when the child is, let's say, around 5 or 6 years old, they are just going to take days to learn the same sound and use it correctly. So why waste all of that time learning something that can be done when the child is developmentally there to actually learn it well?
Adults often fear letting children lead, thinking that they will lose control. They worry that children will climb the walls, cause chaos. So schools control everything, scared of disruption. But the result? They raise adults who can't manage emotions, who struggle to separate ego from decisions.
In a lot of schools, adults struggle to work with the energy of children. And the most natural thing for them to do at that time is to control it. And when they try to control the energy of little children, they make them all do the same kind of artwork. They make them all put the same wool on the sheep just so that everyone is busy and no one is disturbing each other. And that is something that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because that's not the way children learn naturally. Children are very curious, they're innately sociable, they love to talk, they love to exercise their autonomy, they love to negotiate. But we don't want that to be happening in a classroom, because for us that's noise, that's chaos, right? We want to control it so that everyone looks disciplined, even if they are feeling miserable about that discipline.
Here, children are part of democratic assemblies. They set rules, hold each other accountable. We even have a judicial committee where, if there's a serious incident, they gather facts and find solutions together.
One of the most memorable democratic assembly for me was when we discussed about our uniforms. Because when I first joined Edopia, we had a uniform like every other school. But the students feel that they were suppressed because of the uniform, as they couldn't express themselves to their sense of dressing or fashion, whatever you like to call it. So when this motive was first raised in the assembly, this was one of the few issues which took a long time to resolve. Other issues would have been resolved by 1 to 2 assemblies max. This was easy 5 to 6. After that, the teachers had their opinions, the students had their opinions. At the end, the students were able to take the victory. They could wear anything they want as long as they followed the appearing guidelines.
Here, children make decisions. They know their voices matter. They're part of committees that run events, welfare projects, even maintain order. We teach social emotional learning as a subject, and the playground, that's their practice field.
One question that comes up in a lot of parent meetings, and I think it has been the most asked question that I've experienced, is that how is my child going to fit into the real world if they go to a school like this? And I often tell parents there is no one real world out there. Our real world essentially is the result of the choices that we make in life. And children who are not equipped to make choices early on in their lives are the ones who do not know how to make good choices. Children who are really taught how to make good choices and they are allowed to make choices and mistakes along their life, we can be very certain that they are going to find a reality that is going to work for them. You do not send a child to the school to prepare them for some far-off future. Honestly, if you really want to prepare children for a future, it really needs to start by honoring their childhood, by respecting their childhood.
I
Every once in a while, Social Engagement Committee holds Toy Store, which is a social enterprise. We take a lot of pre-loved items that our community has to offer and clean them, pack them, put tags on them, and then we make our store using that. This helps a lot of people in need. Like, it could help somebody get their school fee paid, or it could help somebody with their medical expenses, like we did last time, which was help somebody get a surgery. That was really, really important.
So a lot of schools also talk about how they're going to have a relationship with their parents, and often that somehow is limited to the events that a school is going to have, where we call in the parents and we'll say, okay, you are the spectators of this really fabulous event that we have put up, and you're here to applaud and feel good about your child's performance. But if you really want to build a community that goes beyond that, then you need to open your doors to the parents beyond the academic life of the child. I feel the schools really need to be open in the evenings as well, because that's a time where the parents can, come over, have tea with their friends at the school and watch their children play. This is something that we do at Edopia through Play Street. But I feel like if you really want to build a community that is based on trust, we need to go the extra mile to make sure that all of us feel like we are part of something much bigger than a very transactional relationship. This is how you build a community.
मैं 8 साल से यहाँ पर हूँ और अब मुझे 9वां साल स्टार्ट है। कहने को तो हम सपोर्टेड स्टाफ हैं, लेकिन इस एडोपिया स्कूल ने हमें इतना सपोर्ट किया है। जब हम कभी परेशान होते हैं या बीमार होते हैं तो एडोपिया हमारे साथ खड़ा होता है। इसके अलावा एडोपिया की खूबसूरत बात यह है कि उन्होंने हमारी खुराक का भी ख्याल रखा है। मैं पढ़ी लिखी नहीं हूँ, लेकिन खुदा का शुक्र ये है कि एडोपिया ने मेरे लिए इस चीज़ का भी अरेंज किया है। मेरे लिए उन्होंने सिर्फ मेरे लिए नहीं, स्पोर्ट स्टाफ के लिए उन्होंने एजुकेशन का भी इंतज़ाम किया है। अगर बच्चों की बात आप करते हैं तो मैं समझती हूँ अगर आपने किसी को समझना है ना, तो आपको उसकी फीलिंग को जानना ज़रूरी है, आपको वैसा बनना ज़रूरी है। और बच्चों के साथ जब उन्हें जहाँ ज़रूरत पड़ती है, अगर उन्हें ज़रूरत है कि भागने की, दौड़ने की, तो मैं उनके साथ वैसे ही बन जाती हूँ। अगर उनको ज़रूरत है कि मैं उनके साथ खेलूं, तो मैं उनके साथ खेलना शुरू कर देती हूँ। बच्चों के साथ जो है वो बच्ची बन जाती हूँ। लेकिन जब कभी उन्हें ज़रूरत पड़ती है किसी बड़े की, तो मैं बड़े होने का भी किरदार अदा करती हूँ। जब उन्हें ज़रूरत पड़ती है कि जब कहीं चोट लगती है या कभी परेशान होते हैं, तो मैं उनके साथ एक माँ जैसी भी पेश आती हूँ।
10 years ago, we started with just 18 kids. Now, Edopia has become a movement.
Sometimes I do wonder what is it that we could do if we had all the resources in the world. Because obviously operating in Pakistan, we have had our limitations. I often wonder what we could do if we had access to experts from around the world. Because I feel like now is the time that a lot of people are realizing this, that we need schools where the voice of the child should lead. I'm just not an entrepreneur who invested in an idea, who started an idea and then only looked at it from afar. For me, my pride and joy are the moments, the small glimmers that we experience on ground. So for me, the relationships between different individuals are of the most importance in this entire setup. I really like to understand what is it that the educators want from the system. How can we support them? How can we make sure that they feel like there's not a spillover of this work, which is a lot of hard work that they put in every day, into their family lives? How are they going to feel comfortable if they are coming in every day? How are they going to feel excited about this vision? The same goes for the parents, and I'm absolutely fascinated by the relationships that the children have with each other, with the educators, with the community and environment. I love to study relationships and interactions. Edopia is not a system that we copied off the internet. It is not something that we got templates for. And a lot of people would say, why don't you just go and, get a franchise, and that franchise is going to sell better than something that's very Pakistani and it's very, home built. But for me, that rawness, and that's the pace at which it grew, which was very organic, is something that has made it very special, because I think we have learned a lot from our experience. We have iterated a lot. We have tried to, back it by research. So we have we have extensively researched on what is it that we want, and then we have matched it with our experience over here. So it's a very home-cooked kind of a model that we have, but it works well because it is not transplanted from a foreign school system per se. All in all, I feel like Edopia is my own very big personal inquiry project. I have a big question in life, and I have spent countless hours trying to answer this question, and it's just an ongoing question. I don't think we can ever perfect it, but we keep on pondering over this question, and that is, what is it that we need to do with those 6 hours that a child has, that they spend in school, such that they are able to make the most out of their life.
Edopia, a real alternative for a changing world, built on hope, driven by passion and innovation, and sustained by a community that believes in a new way forward.